Here we're going to talk about carbon dioxide emissions, but we're going to talk about energy vampires. So energy vampires are things that are plugged in but not being used. So like right now my TV is plugged in but it's off. So it's still drawing energy. I'm still paying for electricity for that, but it's not taking as much. So you'll notice the watts being used for appliances in standby mode or energy vampires are a lot lower than when you're actually using them. So these are the watts we're going to be using for this particular video. Okay, so this is what I'll be referring to. So first off, a computer is on standby mode half of the time for a year. Okay, before we even read the problem, let's just talk about that. Half the time for a year. There's a couple different ways you can figure this out. But if I think about one day is 24 hours, right? So half of that would give me 12 hours per day. That's half time. But for a year, well, there are 365 days in a year. So if I take 12 hours a day times 365, this is going to give me 4,380 hours for the year. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. And now when we do this problem, how much CO2 does a computer cost to be emitted in standby mode in a year? Well, if you go back to this first page, the computer is 2.84 watts. So 2.84 watts. Remember, if I'm going from watts to kilowatts, that means I move my decimal left 3 places. So 1, 2, 3, I end up with 0.00284 kilowatts. I did not set this up very well on this page, did I? No, not at all. Okay, now we multiply by the number of hours, which is 4,380 hours. And now that I have kilowatt hours, then my next ratio is the 1.37 pounds of CO2 per kilowatt hours. And that green ratio is standard for electricity. So I multiply my numerators, 0.00284 times 4380 times 1.37, and I end up with 17.04 pounds of CO2. I rounded to the nearest hundredths, which I'm sure you're okay with. Now we go total pounds of CO2. Well, we know that in standby mode, it produces 17.04 pounds. Well, what about for the other half? Well, the other half is when it's being used. And if you reference back to a different page where you talk about watts of being used, computers use 120 watts when they are in use. So if I want to change that to kilowatts, again, I go left 3 places, that's 0.12 kilowatts. And we're doing this for 4,380 hours, right? The other half of the year. So, kilowatts times hours times 1.37 pounds per 1 kilowatt hour means when a computer is being used, it creates 720.07 pounds of CO2 for the year. So if I want to know total, I take standby mode plus in use, and I get 737 and 11/100 pounds of CO2 per year. And last one for the video. Suppose an air conditioner is left on standby mode 24 hours a day for 9 months. If you're charged 10 cents per kilowatt hour, how much money does it cost to leave the air conditioner on standby mode? Okay, first things first. How many hours are we talking? 24 hours a day. We're going to approximate 30 days per month for 9 months. So we're talking a total of 6,480 hours. This is an estimate on hours because we're estimating 30 days in a month. Then next we need to talk about the air conditioner. Well, if you go back to that first page, an air conditioner on standby mode uses 0.9 watts. Don't believe me? Let's go back and look. Where's it at? Air conditioner, 0.9 watts. Okay, so change that to kilowatts by moving it left 3 places, and we get 0.0009 kilowatts. So now let's go ahead and find per kilowatt hour. So we're still looking for kilowatt hours. So I have 0.0009 kilowatts times 6,480 hours. There's my kilowatt hours. Now, instead of doing CO2, I can just do 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Still works the same. Kilowatts cancel out with kilowatts, hours cancel out with hours. I'm still multiplying all of my numerators, and I end up with a big 58 cents. So leaving that on standby mode for 9 months costs you 58 cents in electricity. That's not too shabby.